The ancient astronaut theory, also known as Prä-Astronautic, asserts that the human race was created by a group of extraterrestrial beings known as the Anunnaki. This theory is mainly based on the translations of cuneiform tablets allegedly conducted by Zecharia Sitchin. Sitchin's book series, Earth Chronicles, forms the foundation of this theory. Sitchin portrays the Anunnaki as mythical beings who crossbred their own DNA with that of Homo erectus to create humanity. Their goal was to use humans as slaves for gold and other minerals mining. Today, the Anunnaki are often depicted as the equivalent of the Old Testament's creator god. In contrast, the cuneiform corpus shows that the Anunnaki were depicted in the ancient world as the Sumerian gods of ancient times. They were a pantheon of gods who were the children of the sky god Anu and his consort Ki. It is believed that the Anunnaki should be considered more as demigods or semi-divine beings. Edward Lipinski, a scholar, analyzed several ancient texts in 1971, including the Old Babylonian version of the Epic of Gilgamesh, and identified Mount Hermon and Lebanon as the residence of the Anunnaki. He cites lines from the Epic of Gilgamesh describing the destruction of Humbaba, the guardian of the gods' dwelling, and the two main characters, Gilgamesh and Enkidu, opening the secret dwelling of the Anunnaki. Lipinski argues that older Mesopotamian and Near Eastern Canaanite texts point to the cedar forest of Mount Hermon as the residence of the Anunnaki. He believes that the southern foothill of the anti-Lebanon, Mount Hermon, is the place where the Anunnaki lived in the Old Babylonian version of the Epic of Gilgamesh. He also points out that Mount Hermon was considered the guardian of international treaties in antiquity and connects this tradition with the oath sworn by the guardians in 1 Enoch. Lipinski concludes that Mount Hermon is the cosmic mountain that connects the earth with the lowest heaven, and that the heavenly beings gather on the summit of Mount Hermon because it is the mountain of the gods, the Canaanite Olympus. Mount Hermon is located at the southern end of the anti-Lebanon mountain range on the border between Syria and Lebanon. Its highest peak reaches 2,814 meters. The area is rich in millennia-old altars and was still a venue for cult sites and rituals during the time of Constantine the Great. Gilgamesh was known in the ancient world for acquiring knowledge from the world before the flood. This completes the circle to Lipinski's interpretation of the Old Babylonian version of the Epic of Gilgamesh, in which the old king travels to Mount Hermon, the residence of the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki are the Sumerian gods of ancient times, a pantheon of gods who were the children of the sky god Anu and his sister Ki. Anunnaki translates to royal blood or seed of Anu, not those who descended or those who came down from the heavens, as many modern sources claim. This corresponds to the biblical tradition that mortals were created from the dust of the earth, Genesis 2 verse 7. Significantly, some scholars have come to the realization that the Anunnaki should be regarded more as demigods or semi-divine beings. Apparently, Anu's consort Ki was originally not considered a deity and was elevated to the rank of a goddess much later in the history of the myth cycle. Essentially, this would mean that the Anunnaki originated from a union between a sky god and a mortal woman, who was later deified in mythical traditions. Ki is the Sumerian sign for earth, and Anu's consort is often seen as a personification of the earth itself. This corresponds to the biblical tradition that mortals were created from the dust of the earth, Genesis 2 verse 7. The concept of a group of semi-divine beings born from mortal women is very similar to the biblical and extra-biblical tradition of the Nephilim. The Book of 1 Enoch, attributed to the patriarch Enoch, describes a group of 200 fallen angels, known as the Watchers, who descended on Mount Hermon and swore an oath to procreate with human women. This union led to the birth of great giants, who eventually consumed all the accomplishments of humanity and, when humanity could no longer bear them, turned against them and devoured them. These activities provoked God's action, who cursed the giants to fight each other and sent the archangels to bind the Watcher leadership in the valleys of the earth. The Hebrew texts refer to the powerful beings born from the Watchers as the Nephilim. In summary, The Anunnaki are often portrayed in the Prä-Astronautik Theory as extraterrestrial creators of humanity, while in the ancient world they are depicted as part of the Sumerian pantheon of gods. Mount Hermon, which was regarded in antiquity as the guardian of international treaties, is identified as the residence of the Anunnaki. I hope that these insights into the fascinating world of the Anunnaki and their alleged connection to our history have inspired you. Stay curious and continue to explore the secrets of our universe. Until next time, may your journey be filled with knowledge and discovery. Goodbye.